Over the last few years, I've had the privilege of teaching hundreds of traders the strategy that I personally use to get funded, multiple six figures, scale my own trading and trade for a living. And during this time, when I was teaching my system, I was able to identify what made them profitable, okay? I was able to see what separated the traders who were struggling to the traders who were succeeding. So in this video, I'm going to share with you 5 lessons that helped the traders I've worked with to reach and sustain profitability in their trading. Lesson 1. The traders who I worked with that built consistency all had this one thing in common. They stuck to the one system I was teaching them. They weren't losing focus, but they were laser focused on the one system that I was helping them to implement. They didn't lose motivation or focus, like I just said, when they were still losing money. Okay, so even when they were struggling, even when they had not been able to or weren't at the point of the trading where they're making money from the system, they didn't lose focus, which is a really important point to understand. They stuck with the strategy long enough until they were able to master it and, most importantly, trust the strategy. Because in order to actually sustain profitability, to sustain high performance in the markets, you need to trust the strategy that you're trading. So the traders that I was teaching, okay, I had the privilege of teaching the ones that actually saw the results, okay, and were able to scale their own trading, get funded, get payouts. They understood that they had to build experience with one system. Laser focused on one strategy. They didn't care what anyone else was doing. They were super focused on just learning this one system that I was teaching them. But the traders who were failing to succeed, they were struggling, they couldn't implement the system profitably, they kept changing or seeking different strategies to trade. Which is, again, one of the reasons why I personally still see many traders struggling, is because they just don't give themselves enough time with one system to really master it, understand how it moves, and to overall gain experience with that strategy. It takes time. There's a learning curve you need to go through, or a trader needs to go through, to actually gain experience with that system, to trust it, to know how to execute it properly. Moving on to lesson 2. The next point can apply for achieving any goal in life. The traders who succeeded were the traders who enjoyed the process. They enjoyed waking up each day and learning, going through the motions, reviewing their trades, actually building this skill set. The act of learning and growing and going through that process was enjoyable to them. They weren't overly focused on the end goal of getting funded or scaling their trading. Instead, they were laser focused on building their skills first and solidifying their process. And this, as I've said, goes for anything in life. Anything you're trying to achieve, or anything a person is trying to achieve in life, if you're solely focused on the end result, okay, one, the process, the journey is not going to be enjoyable, and you're most likely going to give up or quit, and it's going to be a lot harder, okay, if you're just focused on the end goal. But if you are enjoying the process, okay, if you enjoy that learning curve and you understand and recognize that the journey is all part of it, going through the process is all part of reaching that end goal, it's going to make it a whole lot easier for you to actually achieve the results and the goals that you want to achieve. But the traders who continue to struggle, okay, they were only focused on the money. They were just focused on the end result, okay, which is not going to help with their performance. It's actually going to block the learning curve, because if you're just laser focused on the end result, you're not going to be able to see the mistakes you're making, and it's going to be harder for you to actually learn and do the work that is required to progress. So, as I've said here, it's blocked them. So the traders who were struggling, who didn't enjoy the process and were just focused on the money, achieving that end result, it blocked them from being able to learn properly and to build the right skills. Lesson 3. One of the key differences between the traders who succeeded and failed was this. The ones who were able to reach profitability, they did the boring work. Every time they took a loss, they were either consulting with me personally within the old trading program that I used to run to get feedback, or they were doing their own journaling and reviewing to learn where they may have gone wrong. So they didn't just lose a trade or make a mistake or do something well and leave it at that. From the hundreds of traders that I've taught, okay, in the last few years in the old trading program that I used to run, the traders that saw success, what made them profitable was they did the boring work. They were able to take the time and actually enjoy doing the journaling, doing the reviewing, or coming to me, okay, getting feedback from me about their trading, which of course helped them to continue to progress and improve their execution. And the traders who were failing didn't take the time to review their trades or to journal at all. They didn't do that boring work, because it can be a little bit boring. Sitting up at night at the end of the trading day, doing the journaling, logging all of your trades, writing down the mistakes you may have made or things you might have done well so you can double down on them. The traders who are succeeding, or who I saw succeed, they did that boring work. They were happy to consult with me, to get feedback from me, or to spend the time reviewing and journaling their own trading. Lesson 4. This lesson has not only helped the traders I have worked with, okay, but has also played a huge role in helping me to get funded, multiple six figures, to scale my own trading and to eventually start trading for a living, which I do now. And it was building an edge playbook. So if you don't know what an edge playbook is, it is a library, a portfolio, okay, so it's a catalog of all the screenshots, all the data of all of your best trades within the strategy that you trade. So it's a folder that has a log, screenshots of all of your best, highest quality setups. And so the traders who became consistent spent the time building a library, a portfolio of their best setups, which can be seen as or known as an edge portfolio. And as I said there, building my own edge portfolio has had a huge impact on my own results and is what's helped me to scale my own trading, get funded multiple six figures, and to trade full time. And what I also use this edge playbook for is a part of what I use the edge playbook is to use it for my preparation. So what I will do is before I open the charts, before I start analyzing the markets, I will go through my edge playbook and just remind myself of what my best, highest quality setups look like. I want to, remind myself. I want to create clarity and confirm to me, okay, this is what I'm looking for. This is the setups I want to be risking my capital on. Anything else is just noise. And by doing this has allowed me to really hone in and just stay consistent and to increase my performance in the markets. Simple act, takes 5 minutes, but I go through my edge playbook and just remind myself of what my best setups look like. And from having the privilege of teaching hundreds of traders, the traders who built their own edge playbook, okay, this is what helped them to become profitable. So moving on to the last lesson here, lesson 5. You've heard the saying before, less is more, but in trading, it does stand true. Okay, it really is true. Less is more in trading. Because the traders who eventually became profitable took my advice to only trade one instrument, or one stock, one crypto, one forex pair, one instrument. And to also focus on trading one session. So I didn't just tell them to trade one instrument, I also got them just to trade one session, which reduced their exposure to the markets. And it goes back to that saying, less is more. The longer you stare at the charts, the more pairs you trade or instruments you trade, the more likely you are to, 1, overexpose yourself, and 2, begin to develop mental fatigue. So for example, if you're sat at the charts all day long, okay, so let's say for 8 hours, within the first 2-3 hours of that session, you're going to be optimized, you're going to be performing at your best. But as the day progresses, you're going to begin to develop mental fatigue because you're sitting there for so long, you can only focus at a high level for so long. And so this is going to diminish the quality of your decision making and your execution, which is going to impact your results. And it applies for trading multiple pairs. If you're flicking through multiple pairs, you're not consistent with one pair, all you're going to be doing is overexposing yourself and increasing the chances of making more mistakes and taking poor trades. So by focusing on trading one pair and trading one session, they were able to minimize the chances of underperforming and making mistakes, as I've said, due to mental fatigue. And I've always taught that if you can't make money trading one pair or one session, why do you think you can make money trading multiple? For me, it doesn't make sense. We want to start off by gaining profitability, building our trading capital or increasing our performance, seeing results by trading one pair and one session. And then once you start to see results in your trading, then you can start scaling by adding in potentially another pair or increasing your risk or trading multiple sessions. And so the traders who never saw success, they couldn't help but trade everything, every financial instrument, and trade every session. So that's the 5 lessons from having the privilege of teaching hundreds of traders over the last few years through an old trading program that I used to run, and the 5 lessons that made them profitable. Hope this video has helped, and I'll see you in the next one.